Here are some of the LLMOps capabilities. To start with, there are two categories. One is LLM specific evaluation that you don't do with, for example, MLOps, and there is LLM specific monitoring. So for the evaluation, the first part is text-based metrics. In a typical LLM system, which works with text, so the text that goes in as an input and comes out as an output is very important. So there are metrics that help you to evaluate the correctness, the ethical aspects of the text, all the biases, use of language, everything matters. So all these are measured using tools so that your LLM behaves well both in test as well as in production. The second part is evaluated LLMs. So these are special large learning models which are specializing in evaluating the other LLMs. So for example, if you train your model to take in an input and generate outputs, the sole purpose of the evaluated LLMs is to test your large language model and then give feedback based on the content that is generating. The third specificity is around the human evaluation. This is where the human in the loop comes in, and then you test the effectiveness of the output that an LLM is producing. When it comes to monitoring, so there are functional monitoring that will be put in place again with respect to the content that the LLM is generating. Prompt monitoring to ensure that the prompts are secure, the prompts are only intended for the LLM to work. And then the third one is response monitoring, which is taking a look at what the output or the outcome that the LLM is producing. So there are some best practices that you need to keep in mind when it comes to LLMOps. Firstly, with respect to data and data management, so use high quality data. This is very important because the data that you train an LLM model with or fine tune an LLM model with is very important, and it drives the quality of the responses that it generates. Second thing is you need to manage the data efficiently, have some kind of an automated process, automated checks and pipelines to ensure that all the data that is coming in and used for training is managed properly. Thirdly, the data governance. Establish a good data governance and policies to ensure that you always are able to keep an eye on the data that is being used to train your models. When it comes to training itself, that is a model training, it is imperative to choose the right training algorithm. It goes a long way in the efficiency of your LLM models. Secondly, if required, if you are doing fine tuning, so optimize the training parameters. Thirdly, throughout the training process, have mechanisms in place to monitor your training process and ensure that the training produces the output that you're looking for. So when it comes to deployment, choosing the right deployment strategy is important. It is not so critical if you're deploying LLMs first time in production, but as you deploy new releases or new features, it is important to ensure the current users or the current applications that are supported by LLM is not impacted. So that's when you start thinking about strategies like Brooklyn deployments, do A/B tests, do canary deployments, and so on. Secondly, optimizing the deployment performance. That is, the efficiency and the time taken to deploy new releases is very important. Again, using automation and using some advanced tools, we need to try to keep the deployment duration to as low as possible. While you do all this, ensuring security is very important. And lastly, coming to monitoring, establishing good monitoring metrics like we saw earlier is very important. It is also imperative to implement real-time monitoring because LLM applications, as we saw earlier, works on inference in real time. Users are interacting with your LLM models in real time. So a good monitoring system and good metrics need to be in place. And then not only you capture, but you also continuously analyze the monitoring data. In the next video, we will talk about how a typical LLMOps tech stack looks like. See you soon in the next video.